are you? I hope you're having a great day. When someone thinks of fibromyalgia, they usually think pain, but that isn't the only symptom we experience. Sure, we have times of high pain, but our pain experiences tend to fluctuate. Today, I want to talk about some of the symptoms that are behind the scenes. Living to our fullest can be challenging when you feel drained, depressed, fatigued, and anxious. And then, on top of that, you might get increased irritable bowel sensations. That's how I've been feeling for about the last month. I do see light at the end of the tunnel. I always do, in some way or another. And that keeps me motivated. So, where do I start? Anyone who has to live in a cold climate for many months of the year knows how difficult it can be when you have fibromyalgia. I mean, I want to get outside and enjoy the heat, but there's no heat out there. It's just cold. And when I do get outside, I crank up the heat in my car. So when winter comes blazing in and the cold temperatures continue to drop, our bodies must adjust. When anyone is exposed to cold temperatures, their body begins to lose heat faster than it can be produced. Their stored energy is used up. Our body's natural defense system will kick in when the temperature drops. Our blood vessels in the skin will contract and blood pressure will rise. When this happens, our blood pressure will stay higher throughout the cold season. For me, since I have low blood pressure, I don't notice that. But that constriction of blood vessels can cause dehydration if I'm not drinking enough water and fluids. Headaches, tiredness, dry mouth, and less urination are all symptoms of a lack of fluids in the body. I've been mildly experiencing this, and I'm trying to get more fluids. Our cardiovascular system now has to work even harder. People with chronic conditions are at more risk for cold-related health effects, and our body becomes more stressed. And if you have coronary issues, then the cold temps are especially hard on your symptoms. The winter season is associated with a greater number of cardiac symptoms and cardiovascular events, so keeping warm is necessary. I know that I have brought up the cold temps here in Indiana multiple times, and that some of you have experienced worse conditions than me. So how are you holding up? How are you doing? I don't live in the coldest areas on the planet, so I'm blessed in that way. But cold is cold. And I guess we're having a heat wave right now because my computer says it's 42 degrees outside. But I'm not satisfied until it hits 70 degrees or higher. So what is happening inside our bodies during the cold weather? Our blood gets thicker. So if you're a person prone to blood clots, that's dangerous. I'm not, thankfully, but I know it's still important for me to protect myself. I know that the best thing for me to do is to keep moving. It keeps the blood flowing around my body. Sitting still, as I'm doing right now, is the worst thing because prolonged sitting makes me feel the cold even more. I'm not talking about exercise because if I'm already cold, gentle movements are less stressful on my body. And if you are older, well, 50 or over, you don't want to do a heavy exercise program when you're cold because then you're adding another stressor to your body and your heart. But gentle movement is good. Gently moving your body is important. And I'll talk about what's been happening to me in a moment. When you're moving around, the blood flows around the body better. Even wiggling my toes, which I'm doing right now while I'm sitting here, helps. I have the heater going on behind me, and I'll soon have a fire going on in the fireplace. It helps with the heat bill, and it really warms it up in here. For people with fibromyalgia and ME/CFS, you know that cold weather makes pain and other symptoms worse. We feel cold deep down into our bones. Apparently, we have an abnormally high number of sensory nerves in our circulatory system, according to a study from 2013. They performed skin biopsies and determined that people with fibro had significantly increased skin innervation of the arterial venule shunts, or AVS, and there was a greater proportion of vasodilatory sensory fibers compared to sympathetic fibers. The innervation to arterioles, though, was normal. Arterial venule shunts regulate blood flow to the skin for thermoregulation and to other tissues such as skeletal muscles during periods of increased metabolic demand. Think of arterioles as pipes that run through our water lines. That's where the blood flows. And venules as those valves that connect them together. The arterial venule shunts control whether your blood stays in the large arterial vessels or flows to the smaller ones called capillaries. All of this is part of the circulatory system. We have several types of blood vessels. Blood leaves the left side of the heart in large arteries. These branch down into smaller arteries and then arterioles. Arterioles get smaller and smaller and end in capillaries, the smallest blood vessels. Oxygen and nutrients are exchanged, and when exiting the capillaries, blood travels through venues onto bigger and bigger veins, and then back again to the right side of the heart. This is how our bodies control heat. So it's moved around your body by our blood. Specialized nerves will open and close the AVS, which sense blood flow along with pain and temperature. In fibromyalgia, a bunch of extra nerves run to the AVS, and more nerves mean more sensory input and an extreme reaction to pain and heat. So what they're saying is we have a whole lot of extra nerves in our AVS, causing all kinds of sensory reactions. These researchers believe this contributes to our pain and fatigue experiences, but would also be understandable as to why we struggle in cold weather or weather changes. Now, those researchers biopsied the hands of people with fibro. So it's assumed there are extra nerves all over the body. Blood flow issues, when we exert ourselves, would also be explained by the extra nerves because the body is having trouble redirecting the blood flow, and the muscles become deprived of oxygen and nutrients. Lactic acid builds up and causes that burning sensation that many people with fibromyalgia and ME/CFS experience. And those painful pins and needle sensations are from an inadequate blood flow to that region, or so it's believed. They call that ischemia, but that can be a serious problem. So I'm hesitant to suggest this theory. This was a small study, so more research is needed because there appears to be some bias or potential bias since it was funded by the makers of Cymbalta and Sabella. But we also experience paresthesia symptoms like pins and needles, or like our skin crawling, which is usually a result of nerve damage, not blood flow. And perhaps these additional nerves are why it's so hard to warm up once we get cold. And so my question is, could those excess nerves be related to small fiber neuropathy and fibromyalgia? And then there was another study in 2015 that conveyed how difficult it was for participants to participate in their study because of flares and stress, along with overdoing it and poor sleep because of weather changes. I also recognize that we can be heat sensitive or both heat and cold sensitive. What do? Well, I wear layers of clothing. I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks right now, and I have sheep wool inserts in my slippers that are very fuzzy. I have a tank under my shirt, then the shirt, and then my sweater. It helps, but my hands are cold. I will wear a scarf around the house if I'm still cold just to keep my neck warm. So when the weather turns cold, I don't usually feel myself slipping into a deep lack of interest in my home. It usually happens over time. And after Thanksgiving, though, I noticed this change, and I finally came to the conclusion that I needed to talk about it. It's now January, and the cold has certainly settled in. I'm affected by the brain fog so heavily that what normally will take me a day of research has been taking me several days. That's not good. I've set goals for myself to get 2 videos out a week. I know that you will all be forgiving if I don't do that, but that's not an option for me. I had a video come out yesterday, and normally I have the subtitles completed a couple days ahead of time. So I pre-record these videos enough ahead that I'm not feeling rushed and stressed. But I was still completing those subtitles 10 minutes into the video release. My brain is moving slow, and that's the worst part. I'm stiff and not moving quickly, but when I can't think at my normal speed, it's paralyzing. Do you all understand how that is? I'm sure you do. Well, that makes me feel depressed. My body is sensitive all over. My hair's up, so that it doesn't touch my skin. Even these little pieces are bugging me while we're doing this video. Hey, but it's clean. I washed it last night in preparation for this video. Then this is what we get. I have soft, warm clothes on. My hands are cold, so I keep touching my skin to warm them up. I think I need to get some fingerless gloves where the fingertips are open. I thought I had some around here somewhere. Could be in my bottom dresser drawer in there, but I haven't taken the time to look for them. I'm trying to do all the other things. I mean, the irritable bowel has been really stressing me out, and then that wears me out, and then I'm more fatigued. I think I need to open my window shades. We close them in the winter to keep the heat in, but I feel like I'm needing that sunshine coming in. And I think I'm going to reach out to one of the online support groups that I'm a member of. I'm a member of several. I think that will help me not feel like I'm alone in the struggle. And one last thing, I want to use my new camera, well, this one that I bought last spring, to video me getting some things done around my house, because my house, oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about my house. I'm so behind on my chores. But I am technologically challenged when it comes to equipment, computers, that camera. I tried to videotape myself, and it said my video card was full. I don't even know how it got full, because I try when I tape, I put it on my computer, I thought. And with my slow thinking lately, it all seems like just too much. So I asked my husband for help. And asking for help is difficult for me. So that was really huge. Possibly this weekend we'll work on him explaining to me how this whole camera thing works. So I don't want this video to be a downer. You know, we go through this. This is just part of it. I try to be uplifting and lift you up, but I am human. And with that, I send you gentle hugs and support. I love you so much. Thank you for watching.